Before all this Pickett and Burrow comparison buzz, there was one man out on an island, all alone, who made a bold claim the day after the NFL draft.
What do you think when you see the comps to Tony Romo for him?
I like that because you know who they were comping to Tony Romo too? Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like that. And I can comp Kenny Pickett to Joe Burrow too. Yes, that was me. I became sad, depressed. Nobody wanted to hear my take. They just wanted to brush it aside. But now all of a sudden, since Shady McCoy basically said the same thing pretty recently, everyone's on board. But nah, I'm just messing because I think this comparison's been out for a little bit now. Or maybe I was right. Maybe I was the first person to bring up this comparison. If I wasn't, I was at least the first one to say it with confidence, to say it with some big deep energy. Either way, I do think this topic deserves a little bit more of a deeper dive. So basically, we're just going to go over how and why this comparison is actually legit. I know there's a lot of haters out there. There's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of people that think this comparison's just pie in the sky. Joe Burrow's too good. Kenny Pickett could never live up to Joe Burrow. All right, we'll see. Watch this episode. Let me see if I could change your mind. If not, you just simply don't know football. Now, first, let's go over the measurables. Joe Burrow stands at 6 foot 3.5 inches, around 221 pounds. Kenny Pickett, 6 foot 3 1/4 inches, and is also in the same weight range at 217 pounds. Wingspan, 74 inches for Burrow. For Pickett, 73.75 inches. Rookie season age, 24. Although Kenny just turned 24 heading into his rookie season, Burrow actually turned 24 in December of his rookie season. But you get the gist of it. Both were considered older rookie quarterbacks when they entered the NFL. And last but not least, hand size. Joe Burrow's hands measured in at 9 inches. Just think back a couple years ago, whenever we were going through that whole draft process, scouts and NFL people were questioning Burrow. Are his hands too small for the league? This is below the average. You even had Patrick Mahomes having to tweet out a message of an encouragement to Joe Burrow to say, listen, they were saying the same thing about me, but look how it worked out for me. Fast forward to just this offseason, Kenny Pickett's hands measured in at 8.5 inches. So I think whenever we're doing this comparison, they both have small hands, Pickett and Burrow. The difference between the two, though, is Kenny Pickett's hands have grown. Went from 8.5 inches to 8 5/8 inches. Joe Burrow's hands, still at 9. The difference maker? Handstands. Today's Big Deek News was sponsored by Handstands. You ever meet someone for the first time and try to make a good impression? Because we know first impressions are everything, right? You have the smile, the eye contact, the charisma, but you get dominated when you go to shake hands because your hand is too small. The other person thinks you're inadequate and a loser and will never see you in a positive light for the rest of eternity, and that makes you feel bad. How can you overcome this and make sure your handshakes never fall flat again? Well, the answer is simple. It's Handstands, the original male enhancement supplement for your hands. Don't be hesitant. Call now. Big shout out to Handstands, one of our committed sponsors, have helped change so many lives, so many testimonials out there, and Kenny Pickett is the perfect example. Handstands helped him land that first round selection. But now that that's over, let's get on to more comparisons. How about storylines? This one's pretty obvious. It's been talked about before, so we won't spend a lot of time on it. But both of them broke out in their senior years after having average to above average college football careers. For Joe Burrow, that entailed him winning a Heisman, a national championship, and throwing for 60-plus touchdowns. Not bad. But for Kenny Pickett, he ended up being a Heisman finalist, winning an ACC championship, and also throwing for 40-plus touchdowns. Some may say, dude, Burrow was just on a different level than Pickett. You can't even do this comparison. It's not even fair. But I would rebuttal that and say, I think LSU's program has been on a different level than Pitt over these past however many years. At the end of the day, both elevated their programs in a single season, that being their senior year. Although, like I said, I think there is an argument that Pitt and Pickett's elevation last year was perhaps a bit more drastic than what LSU's was in 2019, but I think that's a conversation for a different day. At the end of the day, both of these guys elevated their programs in a single season, just so it happened to be their senior year. And now that that's over, let's get to the on-the-field stuff. First, they're both pretty mobile quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett ran a 4.7 340 at the scouting combine. Also, displayed his escapability multiple times at Pitt throughout his career. Arthur Moats on his podcast, the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. It's a decent show. I think you guys should check it out. Link down in the description. Has said that Kenny Pickett is definitely the most athletic quarterback in the Steelers' room. Now with Joe Burrow, I mean, we've seen him make plays on his feet how many times? Escape rushers with that shitty Bengals offensive line. So I think this comparison kind of speaks for itself. Next, we have accuracy and anticipation. Joe Burrow was highly touted for his accuracy coming out of LSU, and he definitely backed it up in the NFL, last year throwing for 70% completion percentage, which did lead the league. And now with Kenny Pickett, here's a clip of Mike Tomlin talking about how precise he is with the football.
You know, he had a couple elements of his game that were really attractive when you're talking about the quarterback position. His ability to anticipate and his professional level accuracy. Oftentimes the college guys have a ways to go in those areas. And when we talk about someone having a high floor at the quarterback position, usually it's because they're pro ready in those areas.
And if that's not enough for you, just Google the words Kenny Pickett and accuracy, and you'll find many, many articles talking about how Kenny Pickett was the most accurate quarterback in the class. He displays elite accuracy, etc., etc. Next is questions about arm strength, or at least elite level arm strength, because I think both of these quarterbacks can basically make every throw that you ask them to make on the field. I think the question is, do they have that next level arm strength of someone like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, or Patrick Mahomes? Because I don't think at the end of the day it means all that much when you're just winning games. Ask Tom Brady, ask Peyton Manning, ask countless other quarterbacks who didn't have the most elite arm strength. Drew Brees, another example, versus someone like Jay Cutler. So as long as you can make all the throws, which I think Kenny Pickett and Joe Burrow have both shown they are capable of, doesn't really matter. But again, this is another comparison, or at least a talking point for each one of these players that has been brought up. And then lastly, intangibles. Both have shown great leadership abilities, have shown moxie, but don't overlook the X factor of doing and saying the right thing after a dub. Kenny Pickett after the win against Clemson.
I mean, we're really going to enjoy this one. I'm going to go have a cold one, and then we'll get ready for Miami.
And then Joe Burrow smoking a stogie after the Natty. So yes, as you can see, there are legit reasons to draw this comparison. Obviously, they are different people, though. Kenny Pickett is Kenny Pickett. Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. No one is exactly the same. Joe Burrow has already proven success in the NFL, whereas Kenny's still got to do it. And no one is saying just because you're compared to someone else that it's automatically going to be that way. Kenny Pickett may be worse than Joe Burrow. But how about this one? Kenny Pickett may be better than Joe Burrow. It's sports. Anything can happen. All I'm saying is the comparison is legit. I mean, I ran through a list of things already in this episode. Right now, the difference in the early starts to each of their NFL careers is Pickett's going to have to earn his starting spot in his rookie year, whereas Burrow had it given to him as soon as he stepped on the field with the Bengals, which, don't get me wrong, he earned it being the number one overall pick, but Pickett's going to have to climb up the depth chart. He's going to have to compete in training camp, and if he does get the starting spot, though, at some point this season, I will say I think he's going to have a much better supporting cast around him than what Joe Burrow did in Cincinnati, at least for his rookie year. But that is it for this edition of Big Deke News. Let me know what you guys think of the Kenny Pickett, Joe Burrow comparisons and whatnot down in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.